Waiting for everybody to swoop on in. Give me a 1 in the chat if you could hear me loud and clear. We got like 4 folk in. I haven't done this in a while, but we're gonna have some fun today. We're gonna have a lot of fun today. We gonna get it pizzazz. We gonna get it poppin', pizzoppin' on my options. Yeah, we gonna get it pizzoppin', poppin', lockin' on the different options. Like knocking, I ain't tryna block you. Yup. Yeah. Shout out to all the ones in the world. Yeah. I might even do a freestyle shit. You guys have got to get me excited though. Yeah. I can turn that down. Hey, get it poppin', yeah. I'll make it spicy. Y'all gotta give it. Let's get everybody in the building. I don't see nobody. I don't see nobody in the chat at all. Yeah, out and about. We're gonna do it. We're gonna have a fun live. It's more chill for me. But I need some feedback. Need a little bit more feedback before I get this started. That's what's up, Tabitha. Hey, is that Tabitha from this morning? If that's Tabitha from this morning, you know, shout out to you. You know, bienvenue. Let me know if Tabitha 448 is from earlier today. I'm playing some good African music. Funk music is an African genre. American Africans in particular. We're gonna have some fun today though. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to Smelly in the building. Let me change the vibe a little bit. This is a little bit too skanky. Let's see what they got on this boy. Hey, yeah. I'm gonna do a lot today, actually. Shoot, I'm kind of feeling it. Let me get this. I don't know if I want these tracks in the beat. Yo. Wait, if it's you, like, you can't say I guess. Like, are you part of the, like, you're from Congo, you know, family of Mr. Imhotep. I don't know if that's you because it was somebody named Tabitha. But if that's you, like, welcome in, like, you know what I'm saying? Welcome in. If you are part of Mr. Imhotep's fam, I appreciate you for being here. Like, it means a lot to me. I'm running through the intros. Oh, okay, you different. It's all good. All good. Either way, I appreciate you for being here. Appreciate you for being here. Tabitha's more of a rare name, so I thought it was you. Yeah, I kind of need something a little bit, like, smoother. I don't know. Hey, what you wanna do with me? What you really trying to do with me? Let me see. Yeah, man. I don't know if I like these. I want something smoother. Kind of want something like, I don't know. These are more like party songs. Nah, man. This is like that EDM type shit, bro. Yeah, this is like some GLT type shit, bro. Bro, is this it, man? Alright. Shoot, I don't know if this is the right one. Yeah. All these FBAs that you be seeing, hella whack. It's a fact, half these FBAs ain't even black. They need to go back. Not back on this track, but back to school. All these FBAs online acting fool, pretending, trying to blend in. They kunologists. They need to get psychologists. I'm about to go in on these B1 frauds. Spreading the facade, these B1 frauds. Y'all gotta tell me if you want me to freestyle more. Cause I will do it. This is a verse, like, you could drop a verse, cause I'm Kamji, but there's verse as well. That's part of it. Lying on John Henry Clark, I'm finna spark. I'm going off the top like I'm in the dark. Jason Black, aka Jeremy Lloyd. He tried to avoid this truth. Splitting voids to the youth. It's like a spoof. These Tanzanite grifters up in this booth. They like Mormons to me. Lying on Christ. I don't even have to say it twice. All right, I'm about to get in. I'm about to go in. How many people we got in the building? We got like 9 people watching. Shout out to y'all in the building. We about to have fun. Like, I'm gonna talk about a very important topic. Actually, you know, I'm gonna go over a lot here. You know, the first thing I want to go over is a video that I saw. You know, with 19 Keys. A video with 19 Keys and Earn Your Leisure out in Uganda. I reacted to it live, so I'm just gonna react right now. Let me see where we at right now. I'm gonna just react to it as we go. Shout out to everybody in the building. We got 10 people listening in. Shout out to y'all. Yeah. All right, let me get to. Yeah. Wait. Does Africa need Black America? Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was. Boom, 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 boom. I'm not even finding the video. Hey, shout out to Draga. Shout out to Draga. Shout out to the super chat. If you want to support me, you could hit the super chat or the Cash App. We about to go in. No, I prefer the Cash App because I get it immediately. Shout out to everybody who sends in super chats. Appreciate that a lot. Appreciate that 100%. Hey. I'm gonna post some. I'm gonna post a little. Fuck, I ain't even get to the. I'm gonna post a little bit poll in the chat for y'all to be able to listen. Or I don't know if that's a click through. Yeah, that's a click through link right there. Leave, go to side. Alright. We on and pop a locking. We on and poppin'. Alright, I'm trying to find this video before we get started. The beat's smacking though. Let me tell you something that I was trying to tell you. Yeah, let me tell you something that I was trying to tell you. Alright, this is gonna be the video. Make it good so that's understood in this neighborhood. I'm never fraudulent, I'm always heaven sent. I'm about to do it to stay relevant. Yeah. Smash Rock Wellington taught me how to spit. Not really, but I gotta stay legit. Alright, let me know if you can hear this. I'm gonna run it back. That shit going way too fast. Fair use. Fair use. Fair use. I might even turn the beat down. Fair use. Fair use.
Because while we're in Iran, the strongest caffeine robustus in the world that comes from Uganda.
There's always going to be conflict, but I'm not into politics. I'm into the good. We have with the global diaspora. We would like to.
Yeah, shout out to.
I'm 19 Keys.
Shout out to 19 Keys. Shout out to 19 Keys. Hey, what's up? What's up, Dr. Carpy? Can y'all hear that? Give me a 1 if you can hear the video. If you can hear the video. If you can hear the video, give me a 1. And we're going to continue. See, this is going to be interesting because, like, you know, shout out to Neferkari Dessalines. You know, Neferkari, he did a video against 19 Keys. And look, 19 Keys is pretty much like the most popular person in the new Hidden Colors 6. And y'all know how I feel about Mr. Vincent Thomas, you know, the innovator of FBA. Y'all know how I feel about him. But yeah, 19 Keys is, you know, I've actually met him personally. You know, I know, you know, one of his first cousins out here in the Bay Area. So he's a good dude. I don't think he actually has bad intentions. I've spoken to him, you know. I think he actually wants to see black people progress, and he's just down for the cause, whatever it is, to promote, you know, whatever is there with relationship to, Black progress. So I know a lot of people, with this commentary recently, they've stated that, they see him as a grifter, but I don't necessarily see him as such, just because I've had a chance to sit down and talk to him and, get an understanding about what he believes and what he's about. And actually, 19 Keys, his main videographer is Igbo. He's an Igbo man. So those of y'all who talk about, separation, diaspora wars, 19 Keys' main man is Igbo, and he travels all over the world with them. He's his main videographer, right? So, there's a lot of things behind the scenes that you may not know, with respect to the internet and things that go on online. But, it's deeper than what meets the eye, right? And with this case, I'm actually going to give a defense of, 19 Keys and, what he did in Uganda. To me, it was kind of nasty work how he was treated by Museveni, which is the president of Uganda, the long-standing president of Uganda. But, it's par for the course. I mean, shout out to both him and Brandon, his videographer. Shout out to everybody in the building. Actually, and the dude, he just got texted. Hold on a sec, y'all. Yeah, shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to the Ugandans in the building. Shout out to the Nigerians, the Zimbabweans. Shout out to all the family I have in South Africa. Look, there's a lot of diaspora wars between Nigeria and South Africa. So I got followers from Nigeria. I got a lot of love from Nigeria, right? And I also got a lot of love from South Africa. So I think my followers are are an example of Pan-Africanism, right? So I'm gonna let this video play, so y'all can in the chat, just give me a country that you come from, or even if you don't come from the country, like a country that you already like, that you've always loved to visit, or you've always wanted to visit. This video is going to be 19 Keys talking about his journey to Uganda. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this play.
And this is Superman, and I'm ready to do business with Uganda.
Kagozi. I'm not familiar with who Isaac Kagozi is. I'm not familiar with who that is. But he says that this video is in memory of Isaac Kagozi. So Isaac Kagozi was a Ugandan American entrepreneur, and he passed away recently, earlier this year. So I think Isaac Kagozi was instrumental in 19 Keys visiting Uganda. So I think that this is really special. It's really special that he was able to give a blessing to Mr. Kagozi. That's really special.
Come with me as I do my first interview with a president. It's the third longest serving president on the African continent. His name is Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. He's been in power since 1986, which is nearly 40 years. And in all that,
that's crazy work. That's crazy work. You know what I'm saying? 40 years in power. Like, he's like Bia. He's like right there with Bia. Bia is like 42, 43, but he's been like 40. So like, he's right. He's 84. Bia's like 93. Bia just turned 93. So yeah.
That time, he has never done a podcast. Not with Western media, not with African media, not with anyone until now. But before
That's crazy. So 19 Keys is the first person to do a podcast with Museveni. That's pretty good.
I show you that conversation, I need you to show how we got here. Because the story isn't about access, it's about the context. It's about what it means for Black America to sit across from an African head of state. Not as a journalist, not as a critic, but as a bridge. And to understand that, you need to understand who this man is, what Uganda has been through, and why this moment matters. I went to Uganda for coffee. We have a brand called Supermind. It is a cognitive boosting brand. It is all about making sure that as we go into the future, we have calm minds that can stay focused and that is ready for the shift. So we've been sourcing for months. Uganda sits almost directly on the equator. The volcanic soil there is some of the richest on the planet, and the Arabica coffee that comes out of that region is world class.
I mean, looking at this, I'm gonna stop pausing it. I'm gonna let it run. But like, just the fact that he going to Uganda for coffee, the fact that his main videographer is Igbo, like he doesn't really align at all with the philosophy of FBA. He really doesn't. So it kind of may seem kind of contradictory, for 19 Keys to be in Hidden Color 6. But ultimately, like I said, he's for the Black community. Just from my conversations with him, he wants to see Black people all over the world progress. He's from Oakland, California. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's actually trying his best. And you see him in Uganda engaging with the people of Uganda in entrepreneurship.
So, of course, I wanted to get access to it, but do business in a meaningful way, so there's value addition from the continent. The plan is simple. We fly in, visit the coffee park, meet the farmers, meet the suppliers, build relationships, handle business. I had just come off tour, then they told me the president wanted to meet. If you're going to meet with a sitting head of state, you need to understand the landscape, not the politics. Museveni's story doesn't start with power. It starts with resistance. To understand Museveni, you have to understand what Uganda looked like before him. In the 1970s, Uganda was under Idi Amin. If you know that name, then you know what it represents. For many, mass killings, economic destruction, the expulsion of entire populations. Uganda.
Come on now. You got to give Idi Amin a little bit more credit. You can't be Last King of Scotland. That Hollywood movie. You gotta give Idi Amin a little, because the Ugandan people love Idi Amin.
Uganda becomes a symbol of tyranny. Now inside the country, we get a different picture. Some people say that it was necessary, right? Especially in the development of Uganda. But that's for another time. After Amin was removed, the instability continued. More leaders, more coups, more violence. By the
fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use.
In the 1980s, the country was devastated. Museveni came out of that chaos. He was a guerrilla fighter, part of the National Resistance Army. They fought a bush war against the government. In January 1986, they won. Museveni took Kampala and became president. In that moment, there was a genuine optimism. This is the leader who had fought for liberation, who spoke about Pan-Africanism and discipline and rebuilding, who represented a break from the cycle of destruction. What followed was nearly 4 decades of leadership. There has been economic growth, infrastructure development, regional influence. Uganda has become one of the more stable nations of East Africa. There has also been criticism, constitutional changes that remove term limits, crackdown on opposition movements, allegations around elections, international pressure on human rights issues. I'm not here to resolve the tension or those problems, because that's not my role. My role is to acknowledge it exists and to walk into the room with my eyes open. But here's what I know as a Black American thought leader. If I only engage with leaders who have perfect record, I would never engage with anyone. Power is complicated everywhere. History is complicated everywhere. The question is whether you can have an honest conversation inside that complexity. That's high-level conversations.
Yeah,
when you meet a head of a state who has been in power this long, the environment tells you something before you even speak. We arrive at the residence, it's quiet, controlled, intentional. There are other meetings happening, international delegations, investors, conversations that won't be shown on camera. When I introduced myself, he locked in. He went into story about history, and we shared dialogue. Not small talk, it was not formality, just direct attention and engagement. He's looking at me as if he's trying to understand, who is this? Why is this young Black American here? need them to understand.
Hey, shout out to the Ankole. You know, these are some of the cattle that you do see in classical Africa and Kemet. Shout out to Dieu, Marielle, Wagwan. Shout out to the Jamaican family. Yeah, Ghana's definitely, I feel like, to me, okay, Ghana's an entry point. You know, Ghana's an entry point. But to me, like, if you can handle Nigeria, you can handle any country on the continent. But Ghana, like, for most, you know, diasporans is like a really, really easy place to get into. It's a really, really cool place to get into. For sure. But yeah, these Ankole cattle are really important because you see some of the same cattle in ancient Kemet. So we got to pay attention to that. I might put this on. Is the speed good, or do y'all want me to put it a little bit faster? Let me know in the comments.
These animals are massive, long curved horns, powerful presence, but they move with calmness. There's no aggression. They're just beautiful and majestic. Watching those animals told me something about the man who raised them. You don't need to lead for 40 years by being reactive. You lead by thinking long, by moving deliberate, by understanding that time is a weapon and a tool. So I kept that one in my pocket as a key of understanding. My goal was not to go in there and try to trap them. My goal wasn't try to go in there and try to flatter them. My goal wasn't to go in there and do anything but have an honest and respectful conversation.
Shoot, he's better than me. Like, he's better than me, man. You catch me in front of Museveni, I'm going off. And maybe that's why, you know, I haven't been able to get into those spaces. But, bruh, you catch me in front of Museveni, right? You catch me in front of Museveni, I'm going off. I'm gonna make it louder.
Too, man, so that we can see what this dialogue is like and to build a bridge between the diaspora and Africa. Because I believe that we both are on the same sides of the coin when it comes to getting bad deals, and now it's time to deal with each other.
19 keys, could you just come up for a second or a few minutes? Are Your Excellency, 19 keys is a regional and global leader who you met recently and very interested in Wakanda, Black Panther, and would like to ask 1 or 2, 3 questions. But also, as a millennial, Your Excellency, I have a small question for you. You were unstoppable in 80s.
I mean, look, say what you want about 19 Keys, you know, say what you want about Brother Jabril. I mean, but the fact that he's able to hold a conversation, you know, with Museveni, with his Igbo videographer in the background, to me is pretty impressive, right? That's pretty impressive.
You are unstoppable now. And you're saying we should be unstoppable for the future. What does that mean to us and the young people? And Your Excellency, as your small old boy, what was your toughest time at military school? Your what? Your toughest time at military school. And over to you, 19 Keys.
Mr. President, I thank you and I thank Ambassador Abbey of the Diaspora Office for having me here today. I've enjoyed the conversation between you and the youth thus far, and I come here in representation of the global diaspora. I believe on one hand in your vision about not exporting raw materials, and then I think about Black America, how we've exported raw culture. Right? And I think that both of us have gotten a bad deal because we did not benefit from that which we produce. And I believe in the future to where we have our own sovereignty. We benefit from our value and we don't allow anyone to set our price because we know our worth. And so I want to ask the question, because I know that Black intellect has always imported into the country, but we have not always had a presence. So how do we build a bridge between our influence, right, and your infrastructure to where the Black diaspora, the global diaspora, can also build an economic bridge, a long-standing relationship with Africa, specifically in Uganda as well?
Well, the issue.
Yeah, I have to say, you know, I shout out to Kevin, aka Mr. K. I know that a lot of people see, Jabril, 19 Keys. I know a lot of people see him that way, but he's not that. I've met him personally. I've spoken to him. I know I keep saying this. And, he puts a lot of people on. He gives a lot of people a platform. Some of the people may have nefarious intentions, but he gives a lot of people a platform, on his platform to be able to spread and promulgate what they want to promulgate, right? So, I don't necessarily see it that way. And I I have some communication in the background with some of the people who he works with to give me details, and it's not necessarily that per se. But I can understand why, like if you're familiar with the Earn Your Leisure crowd, the fact that, 19 Keys is in Hidden Colors, right? To me is questionable to an extent, but I also know that, he wants to basically work with any black organization, regardless of the ideology, to be able to bring forth black progress. Like 19 Keys is a Muslim, and a lot of the people that he work with are Christian, right? And they don't necessarily have the same religion, but they're willing to work together for black progress. So, and I know that, the perspective that you have of these media figures is going to be shaped by digital media. But I just have to say that from my personal interactions with 19 Keys, he doesn't appear to be a clout chaser. I wouldn't say that he's a clout chaser. I would just say that he's someone who's trying to bring forth, a higher level of black people, overall. Right? I think he's just trying to bring forth a higher level of the black community overall. Right? And I know he recently, like Neferkari Dessalines recently attacked him on his channel, right? And basically in response to the president of Ghana, basically referring to how, Ghana needs to do more, Africa needs to do more for Black America. And this is kind of the reason why, I made the title of this video. But again, like, even this particular instance in Uganda, there was a lot of things that happened behind the scenes, that people don't necessarily know about. So, again, like just the fact that, because like if he was a clout chaser, if he was a faker, I don't think that the Ugandan Diaspora office would have allowed him to speak to the president. I'm pretty sure that they have a pretty good methodology of figuring out who's a fake and a fraud and who's not. So I don't think they would have done that. But yeah, let's just continue on into the video. But shout out to Mr. K, shout out to Kevin for the support and love, and shout out to everybody else. You could always support the channel by becoming a member, hitting the Cash App, or sending a super chat. Greatly appreciate your support, and we are going to keep this rolling.
For business, you need three elements. Element number one is the producer of a good or a service. Element number two is infrastructure and connectivity, the connection. Element number three is the consumer, the one who buys. So with the African diaspora, all this is possible. We can produce products here which are sold in the US, in Brazil, in where the black people are, in the Caribbean, where the black people are. And they can also produce products which they sell here.
My bad.
That would be the most durable way. Because once...
Hold up. That's not... It's like a white screen. Oh, y'all see it? Okay, for sure. That kind of looked bad for a second. Like when I go here, what happens? When I go on my WhatsApp. Okay, when I go on my WhatsApp, it basically blocks it out. Like when I'm on my WhatsApp, when I go on my WhatsApp, it blocks it out. I don't know if y'all saw the WhatsApp chat. If y'all did, that's not good, but it's all good. It is what it is.
It is business.
And you say that you think he's more of a, You think he's more of an opportunist than a exploiter? I mean, yeah, I mean that's kind of your that's a personal opinion. I respect your personal opinion. Based upon what you've seen of him, I respect your personal opinion. And honestly, if I hadn't spoken to him personally, I wouldn't have had this position, because I kind of saw him associated with people that I thought that are a little bit more nefarious, like Ben Carson. But ultimately, we're free to develop our own views about any of these individuals that we see fit. You said no, they aren't African, meaning we've never owed them anything. Okay, you're saying Ataladin is saying that in response to the title. All right, shout out to you for being here.
It is self-financing. You finance from the earnings. You don't need a donation. You don't need anything. It is self-locomoting. So I think that will be the best way. And I hear the purchasing power of the black people in the U.S. is quite big. Yes. The purchasing power, how much are they buying?
$1.3 trillion in buying power.
Yes. So whose products are they buying?
Yeah, and that's kind of a thing where, shout out to, Jared Ball, even though I don't agree with the way that a lot of these black socialists, I don't agree with their strategy. Honestly, black socialists in America, they don't have many victories at all, right? But shout out to Jared Ball for being the one to expose the fraud of black buying power and Nielsen study. And again, when I'm saying this, a lot of what we call black buying power is the consumption of available goods. So it's not necessarily power in the geopolitical sense of the word. But I do believe that consumption could be reoriented. I'm not saying that that's the saving grace, but it definitively could be reoriented towards productive things. So that's one thing. Like the $1 trillion buying power, it's something that's been said a lot in many spaces, but I do think it needs to be contextualized.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, we do not currently produce what we consume. And the shift that we've been teaching is how to be our own creators, right? A prosumer is somebody who produces what they consume. As the young people talk about technology, the only problem is that we're consuming someone else's thoughts and ideas. So if modernization and wisdom are not married together, then they can be a problem because outside influence can try to destabilize. This is what I try to teach as well.
That's true. That's why you need to make a distinction between natural science and social science. Correct. Natural science is definite. The law of gravity, electricity, those are clear, they are natural. But the social science, what is important, what is secondary, what is where we have a problem. And that's what we have been fighting here. That's why here, after a long struggle, we distilled 4 principles, which the young people are talking about. Patriotism, value yourself, and love yourself. Pan-Africanism, love Africa and the African people. Socio-economic transformation, create a new society, don't only be in the old society. Change some of the things in the old which should be changed.
Shout out to Mario. You say, do you know what he said about the Egyptians? No, I do not know. Are you referring to Museveni or are you referring to 19 Keys when you say that? Let me know in the comments and I'll be able to answer the question.
Retain those who should be retained and become a new society. But a healthy society, not an unhealthy one. And then finally, democracy. So the natural science is natural. light, sound, gravity. Those are natural laws. The problem with the social science, what should be done and why. That's where the distortion comes from. Somebody says, you become a raw material producer. Why? Why don't you buy my final product? Europe, when you add value to coffee, they tax it. When you export a raw material, they don't tax it. So you can see.
You know, I've gotten, you know, shout out to Museveni, honestly, for speaking about this. It is important to speak about, but I've gotten kind of tired of hearing it over and over, especially from a person who's the president. Your job is to show me the policies that you are implementing to create value-added goods locally. We know about the problem. Anybody who's been paying attention knows about the export of raw materials. We all know, we've been knowing about this for decades. But his job as a president is to talk about the policies that he's willing to implement to change the situation for the better. Point blank, period. It's not that difficult.
Stupid. They're not clever people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think they understand the value.
Yeah, he says, don't get me wrong, I'd rather do business and work with 19 keys than Tariq Nasheed any day. I would only work with 19 keys to keep him under a ledge and keep him in check with his revisionist history. You know, I mean, you know, look, honestly, I've said this many times before. I'm not a fan of the Anglosphere, and I think America is the worst as part of the Anglosphere when it comes to history, particularly the frameworks. And when you communicate with, you know, Black Americans and people who are Americocentric, you can see the matrix that they operate under. So, like, you know, it's not just about 19 keys or anything. It's about, for me personally, it's about Americocentrism in particular and Anglocentrism in general, because I think it has a really corrosive impact on the way that we view history. So those two, you know, centers of thought need to be put in check.
Right? It's that Black Americans in the global diaspora, we've mastered attention, right? Culture, influence, but without ownership. So therefore, we know how to create the brands, but typically we don't end up owning them. When I come to Uganda, it's a very beautiful country. I meditated at the equator. I learned about the Nile. I tried the strong, robustus coffee. I came here to get a supplier for Supermine as well, to teach the world about the high volcanic altitude coffee that also is good for cognitive performance. There's so many beautiful things that we don't know about the narrative of Uganda, right? And so when I think about Africa, it's more so, how can Africa control its story? Because the way people buy into brands is by what they feel about it. So you can control the value of the product if you control the story connected to the product. That's where we come in to say, wait a minute. When in the early 1900s, what was being imported about Black America was that we were freedom fighters. We were trying to go towards, you know, a natural way of sovereignty and independence of thought. Today, they just see us as entertainers, but not knowing that we are now businessmen. We now know how to build infrastructure, long-term thinking, and we're focusing on a better cultural identity so that when we're on the phones, we're not over-scrolling. I want to know how we can help Uganda tell the story to the world so that when you're exporting, people are buying it at a high value price because it is seen as premium.
No, that one is, first of all, the original problem was us not knowing that.
Look, what is up with Museveni? Museveni is a president wearing dad sandals, or what would be granddad sandals. I kind of find that odd. I don't know if y'all find that odd, but like, I just think that a president should be moving a little bit more refined than that. I think that's kind of interesting, to say the least.
You can become, because the human race has been here for 4.5 million years. Much of that time, they were in Africa. It is only about 100,000 years ago that people started going to other continents from here. That's how they became. And in that time, man is the only animal that thinks and works, that has got a superior brain and a hand that can do work. So it is only man who can adapt nature to his needs. All the other animals adapt themselves to nature because they have no capacity to alter nature. So the story of man is long. You can see where Africa lagged behind and why. So it is easy for us in our movement, we were able to see, because the invention of fire, the invention of tools was done here in Africa by man. The invention of fire was here. Agriculture, domestication of crops, domestication of animals was done here. The Iron Age, it was here. So this lagging behind started only with Columbus, Christopher Columbus, when he went to that side, and then Vasco da Gama came this way. That's when, mainly because of our internal weaknesses, our chiefs, who were idiots and couldn't organize us. And then slave trade, then colonialism. But by 1912,
and this gentleman that you see right here, to the right, that is Izebo, videographer and producer. You're gonna see a frontal view.
we started organizing new in South Africa. ANC started, the one of South Africa. And from that time, we have now recovered.
He says you basically work with him for tactical reasons because, like the great Pan-African Oba Tashaka says, is important. Yeah, I mean, strategy is always important. So was that 19 Keys, a new Hidden Colors recruit? Yeah, 19 Keys. This is a video featuring 19 Keys and Earn Your Leisure. Egyptos conquered the country of the black-footed ones and named it Egypt. Apollodorus. Shout out to you, Mario. Yeah, I am familiar with that quote. I actually first saw it from Smash Rockwell's Black Like Osiris. Definitely get that book off of Amazon. Black Like Osiris from Smash. It's a really great book. Really, really good stuff. Africans everywhere deserve and must have reparations. Africans everywhere, yes, deserve. Yeah, shout out to Dr. Kale. Shout out to Zeke in the building. Shout out to, the good love and support. The fact that he's been president for this long doesn't surprise me. And the almost centenarian president of Cameroon. Yeah, no, it's disgusting. It is very, very, very disgusting. But let's keep this party rolling. Shout out to all the love and support. Let's keep it going.
So it is easy to know where we missed. I have written a booklet entitled How Africa Missed the Bus of History. You can read that booklet. It's those booklets. Nani, give my people here those books. I titled it How Africa Missed the Bus of History. You can identify it. This gap is only about 500 years. So it is easy to, once you know it, Gen Z. That is me when I was Gen Z. When I was your age. That's that was in 1968. I was not a softie. So we can now move because you see you need a number of if you read you will see you need a number of things to be done. Number one, production in the 4 sectors, the ones I talked about, the young people here: agriculture, manufacturing, services. But number two, the market. Who buys? That's why we had to talk about the integration of the African market. If you produce and nobody buys, how will you continue? The market in Africa was fragmented. So we had to work on the East African market first of all, but also the African common market, so that we have a market here to encourage the wealth creators. If I create wealth and nobody buys, how do I continue? So then you can now be able to deal with the trade with China, with what? But when you already have your own assured base, the African common market. So it.
Shout out to Marielle. Diodorus Siculus, he says 90 to 30 BC. I wish I could show this on the screen so y'all could see it. Hold on. Yeah, I wish I could. Actually, hold on. I can show these on the screen. Let me move this over. Let me move Baba John Henry Clark. I'm gonna get these on the screen so y'all can see it. Give me a quick segundo. But shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to everybody in the building. I'm gonna let y'all see this real quick. Fuck, I feel like I have to, I may have to pop this out one time. I don't know if it'll allow me to fucking. Shout out to everybody in the building. I'm fixing this up so I can show y'all what's good. Hey, hold up, what's going on? This is like a trippy. Wait a minute, this is trippy. This is hella trippy. Hold on. That's hella trippy. If I play it,
it is. We know where the problem was.
There you go.
It is
well,
curable. We can get out.
Yes.
Now the branding, what you are talking about, that's part of the software, but the hardware is the infrastructure of how you create wealth. You produce, somebody must buy. And in order to link the two, you need infrastructure. You need the road, you need the what?
I feel like I should put browser.
Yes, in America, we coined that the buy black. So right now in America, there's a program to say, do not shop where you don't own. So everybody's going for Black Friday in America, and we tell them, no, shop with somebody who looks like you. So we're trying to keep the dollar circulating amongst us.
Okay, how is it working?
It's doing actually really good, because I was always taught 100% dissatisfaction brings about a change. And I think we're ready to save ourselves. And so I try to imprint the consciousness into the people. Since 2020, we've been teaching financial literacy that allows us to increase our wealth by 60% in America. Our global influence is probably worth somewhere around 5 to 7 trillion. Black Americans make up probably 48 million, similar to the same population here in Uganda. Right? We have the buying power, but there's not a lot of consciousness behind it. Young people out there want almost the opposite of the young people here. We're online too much, and they want to get offline. I talked to the president of Black Farmers Association, and we're trying to bridge young people to farmers in America, because we understand the power of land, but we don't have the ownership. So it's really teaching these two perspectives, because what happens is comparison is the thief of joy. You're online looking at what you don't have instead of appreciating what you do. So if we can share the knowledge of what happens when you are online and why you need digital literacy and why some people need to learn that skill set, while others need to understand that the greatest moat that Africa has is it does have the land, it has the resources, it has the minerals. And AI is going to come, but it cannot change the land.
All right, shout out to you, Arminius Marcellinus, 32.5 to 330 AD. Before the Arab-Turk invasions, the men of Egypt are mostly black and brown with a skinny, desiccated look. Now, this is funny because a lot of these are coming from, I remember seeing these in Smash's book. I don't know if you're getting these from Smash's book as well. But yeah, that's really, really, really good. So I think we're going to continue. All right, there's hella traditional attire you can wear. He's still wearing Western clothing. You talking about Museveni? He dresses per weather. Remember, suits are a product of Western culture. Yeah, for real. That's very true. All right, let's continue.
It cannot change the farming. That would make sure that Africa is always going to be a global wellness farming industry, feeding the world the best food in the world as everybody is searching for it. So I think that if that is into the identity of the youth, they can understand the value of what they have, while at the same time learning how to interact with the technology progressively, step by step. But if you give them too much at once, then it won't be beneficial to the country. It'll be beneficial to those outside.
What would strengthen the black people in the U.S. is Africa. Once Africa is strong, the black people will be strong in the U.S. because they are our advance guard into the West. That's what I was discussing with the Carmichael and all those Black Panther in the 1960s. They were together.
Wait, why is it not? Hold on, my bad.
Cleaver.
My bad. That was what it was. I was on the other
Cleaver.
shit. My bad, y'all.
I met him in North Korea.
My bad.
And he was trying to befriend Korean guards. I quarreled with him. Why are you trying to? Don't you have guards in the U.S.? We quarreled. And then he said, that I'm a peasant, that I am parochial. But from that time, we wanted to link the two, Africa and, but here we got into some weaknesses. Once here it is strong, then the black people everywhere will be very strong. Okay, people.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I would just like to say that, on behalf of the global diaspora, we would like to help build that bridge of strength, right? And so we recognize the value, and if we recognize the value in each other, then we can help what we think is a gap here, to tell that story, that narrative. And so that's what I'm really here for.
You will draw a lot because you link us with that big market of the U.S. First of all, the black people alone, but even the other Americans. We have connections also with other Americans through other affiliations like the church, the Christians. You find the Christian right sometimes sides with us.
Yeah, here comes the VS. Here comes the VS, Here comes the VS. Hey, right now, Drew Marial is the number one commenter right now. If anybody wants to beat him, you can. But, he's the number one right now on the support. Shout out to everybody in the building. To me, this is where the BS starts, personally. This is where the nonsense starts. But let's get into it.
On issues like homosexuality, they agree with us. So, in addition to the black people, we also have some of those connections. I don't know how compatible they are.
I think we're economically compatible.
No, between us we are, but for you and them, you and the Christian right.
Well, I think what the Christian right says they want is for black people to do for self.
They want?
They said they want black people to do for self and not be dependent upon the government. We can agree on that.
Sheesh, Dumarial's killing it. I'm jet black in complexion, the color of the true Arabs. Miskeen al-Darimi. Dad, that's a powerful quote right there. Now you got a call, bro. I'm on live, man. They always try to call you when you're on live, bro. But yeah, shout out to Dumarial. He's just spitting some hot fire. Here Museveni's gonna start talking about the nonsense. He's gonna start talking about getting with the Christian right. Get out of here, bro. Let's get it.
We want to do for self as well, so we do not argue in that area, right? They say go do your own, and we say, okay, I'm going to go to Africa and build a bridge. So I was always taught we can argue.
They say you should not be dependent on the government.
Correct. That is one of their main issues, right? And we believe that exact thing because we think that it weakens our position when we have all of the strength within ourselves.
Philanthropy weakens you.
Not philanthropy, dependence. For Americans specifically, because we do have the buying power, we do have the attention, we have the culture, we have the networks. And so we realize our power, then we realize we empower brands that become trillion-dollar brands, billion-dollar brands. They use our influence, but we have yet to use it for ourselves.
So you can work with the Christian right.
Why did he say it again, bro? Why did he say it again? Why did he say, like, he said work with the Christian right. And then, Jabril is like, oh, no, we need to be independent. And then he says it again. Let me see how 19 Keys responds.
Well, I don't believe we need to. I believe that all we need to do
within the U.S., when we are dealing with you.
Yes. I think it's a direct bridge.
You don't have conflict.
No, because I focus on doing for self. There's always going to be conflict, but I'm not into politics. I'm into the building.
What did Obama do? What did he achieve, Obama?
Obama was, to myself, representation without ownership. So me personally, I have a saying. And everybody does.
One thing about 19 Keys is he's very quick on his toes. Like, he's very quick and, like, snappy on his toes. Because, like, in these type of conversations, like, you can't let your emotions get the best of you, But he's really good at that. Like, he's really good at being, like balanced.
Doesn't like the saying. Is black excellence is a scam that replaced black power because it didn't give us ownership. The Black Panthers were about ownership. Nation of Islam were about ownership. And then we were just happy to be represented. And so now our generation is saying, what can we own? And that's what the bridge is.
What do the black people own in the U.S.?
Currently, we own culture. And culture is a multi-trillion-dollar export.
The music and so on.
Music, song, language, right? Fashion. The whole entire industry is influenced by us. So now what we're doing is learning the financial literacy. So we're putting the infrastructure behind that. We do an event where my brothers...
How about manufacturing?
Manufacturing, we starting with that with land. So John Boyd, who is the black president of Farmers Association in America, is now looking for that capital, so they're building their own infrastructure on the land. But it's something that we lack that we now have to go into the future because we started late.
So you are not in manufacturing?
Our biggest one is media.
Is what?
Media.
Media.
There he is, right
so
there.
So we control media.
This man right here, this is 19 Keys' main producer and videographer. He's of Igbo descent. He's an Igbo man, right? So just right here, just the fact that he's working very closely with someone of Igbo Nigerian descent would basically confirm that he doesn't necessarily agree with a lot of these crazy delineationists. And look, Marcus Vincent Thomas, aka Tariq, doesn't agree. His main man is Olu. So he doesn't even follow his ideology. Olu is a Yoruba. You're right. And that's been his dude for decades. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's clear, like, when you look at reality, black people from all over the world have always worked together. And the fecal brain assimilationist propaganda is false.
Infrastructure, stories, branding, architecting the ideas behind the brand to
You
increase the
own
value.
TVs, radios, what? What do you...
Well, we have platforms. So
And
collectively,
he's like, and Jabril, by the way, is taking this gracefully because Brendan, if you look at his face, he's just like, "What the heck is this nigga talking about?" Like, but he's taking it really gracefully, and he's just speaking off the cuff, right? So you could tell that he was just going off the top of the dome. You know, if it was me, I would have tried to be more prepared, but like he's going off the top of the dome, so like, you know, that's what's up. Hey, yo, shout out to Without History in the chat. You know, I appreciate you for tuning in. You know, we got to chop it up about this memorial coming up next week. But I appreciate you for tapping in.
have platforms probably amass upward to about 50 million followers. Yearly, we get hundreds of millions of views. We do events that gather tens of thousands of people, and we shift industries.
No, very good. No, we had started with but we got busy with Carmichael, with very many black people. Later on, we started working with people like Andrew Young. He was less radical. He was more. Is he alive? Andrew Young.
Yes, he's still.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, that's going to conclude the video. You know, let's shout out to everybody who tuned in. You know, I think that like, yeah, it was some effery with that Christian right, you know, conversation. And he said he not trying to eat a bullet by the alphabet mafia. Almost tripled down on the Christian right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He tripled down, and I'm like, bruh, like he kept talking about Christian right. It's like, bruh, we don't need the Christian right. We don't need the like stop. He was way overdoing it. You know what I'm saying? So let's just keep an eye on this. Let me see where we're at right now. You know, I don't know if y'all want me to go because I was about to do a little bit more, but look, Dieu Marial is the only person, you know, supporting the cause right now. Dieu Marial is the only person supporting the cause right now. Oh, shout out to Dieu Marial again. Dieu Marial is going in hard in the paint. Ibn Abbas reported that the prophet said, I saw Musa on the night of my ascension, and he was a dark-skinned, curly man, like a man from the people of Shenua. So this meeting is giving the vibes of the 1974 Pan-African Congress, where, unfortunately, John Henry Clark said it was a lot of political theater. You know, ultimately, you know, this was only a conversation. You know, it was only a conversation. And to me, if it was me, somebody like Museveni, somebody of his caliber, should have been able to speak more about policies. And, you know, before we move on, I wanted to even go into just what Museveni could have spoken about. And I don't know if, you know, honestly, I really don't know what he was thinking, to be honest. But this is going to be a document, you know, because he's 84 years old, maybe not a lot, you know what I'm saying? But this is going to be some of the stuff that he could have spoken about, you know, because this is actually how, you know, 19 Keys was able to get into Uganda through this program, right? So this is the diaspora engagement mapping, right? So from the government's perspective, the Ugandan diaspora comprises of all people of Ugandan origin living and or working outside of Uganda. It also includes Ugandans who may have lost their citizenship through the acquisition of another citizenship. So again, you know, this is something that needs to be expanded because we should talk about the African diaspora in its totality, right? So I would say that any person that has genetic affinity to the African continent through testing should be considered within the Ugandan diaspora. This is what Benin did, so you don't necessarily have to get tested in Benin, but anybody who's linked to what they called in their designation sub-Saharan African country. We use the term super-Indian for Saharan Africa. But anybody who is linked to these countries, right, would be able to get some citizenship. So you see here, the dual citizenship is right there. Right to vote in national elections for citizens residing abroad is there. Remittances are 2.5% of the GDP, right? So you have about what would that be? A billion, 1.4 billion in inflow for remittances. Then you have the top countries of the Ugandan diaspora: Kenya, South Sudan, Rwanda, Canada, South Africa. Right? So, and again, they go over the definition of the diaspora here, as you can see. So it's about 1% of the population that they consider immigrants to different countries. So there's national plans for the diaspora in Uganda. You have national development plans and development strategies, and the Uganda's vision for 2040, right? And they want to transform the country in 30 years and, contribute to private sector through remittances. So a lot of people who talk about flee, the fecal brain assimilationists always talk about that, right? And the remittances, the Ugandan government has a plan to take these remittances and engage in the development of the private sector. You won't see, the B1ers, talk about this. You won't see Tariq Nasheed talk about this, because this is a real world impact of using the remittances to develop the nation. It's over $1 billion, and they're using that in many different aspects. Right? So you have the establishment of Diaspora Services Department in 2007, right? And they've developed programs for the country's economic and technical development. They perform feasibility studies for diaspora talents in the infrastructure sector, energy, roads, railways, with a focus on developing technical skills, right? And they're engaged with the investment authority. And they've just been doing a lot of different work, just to make it so that the diaspora has a home, right? Now, they've even pointed out some obstacles in this text. You have a lack of trust of government structures, lack of information and infrastructure. There's a capacity, lack of human capital resourcing, and then there's a high cost of capital. Accessing financing for diaspora investment can be extremely expensive in Uganda. So they're trying to basically ameliorate a lot of these things within this program. So, there's certain campaign against early marriage, reaching out to the diaspora in the UK, and on and on and on. So you see here that there's numerous different programs and policies that Museveni could have honestly spoken about. Maybe he wasn't up to date with them, or maybe he didn't remember them. But these are some of the things that could have been discussed when talking about, Black America and Africa, especially an expansive definition of diaspora, which will allow, more integration, for those on the African continent, So do you think O'Shea Dijak will be in Hidden Cornelius Desha? I don't think he'll be in Hidden Colors 6. Yeah, you do need a DNA test, but you could be a DNA test in any, so-called infra-Saharan African country. So what I'm going to do now, what are we at right now? I got to do the math real quick, but I think we are, let me see here, on the supportions. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3. All right, if y'all want to continue, we can continue on this, and I'm going to actually go into some data that Mr. Kevin sent me about some of these grifters. If you want to continue roasting these grifters, give a little love on the Cash App or the Super Chat, whichever one is easier. I do prefer Cash Apps because I get it more immediately. But if you must give a Super Chat, you can. So if I get, maybe let's say, depending on the size, 3 to 4, we will continue onward with these roasts. But if not, we will put this show to an end and on to the next one. So y'all can decide. I'm going to let the music run for a little bit, but y'all can decide what y'all want to do. Shout out to Jumariel, the top supporter, the supporter of the day. Appreciate all your quotes. And everybody else, especially the non-members, tap in a little bit if you want me to continue this. Look, I might even give y'all a little bit of a... You say you're a very optimistic guy. Nah, for sure. I'm gonna give y'all a little taste of some of my intros. The intros that I'm working on. What happened? Wait, what the fuck happened? I got 63 songs in this motherfucker, bro. What the fuck? Yo. Some weird is going on with my system. My bad, y'all. Something weird is going on with my system. There you go. Let me get back to what is real. Hey, Kevin. I might do it. If I get some more support, I might do it. But if I don't get support here, I'm gonna just do it on the video. Hey, I got some love. Hey, shout out to Mr. Geneseka, shout out to you, but I love on the Cash App. Well, that's one. Hey, if y'all get 3 more, we gonna keep this going. Otherwise, we gonna rock out. Shout out to Kevin. Yeah, that's another one. We get 2 more, we're on and popping. If we get 2 more, we're on and popping. Hey, yeah. Hey. I'm gonna play my favorite one. No. Nah. This ain't it. This ain't even the top ones. I'm gonna play this. This is gonna be one of my intros, low key. What y'all think of that? What y'all think of that as an intro? That's probably gonna be one of my intros. I'm gonna be honest. It's probably gonna be one of my intros. Shout out to Jumariel again. Aeschylus in 500 BC describing the Egyptians. I can see the crew with their black limbs and white tunics. Shout out to Jumariel. He's just laying down the heat, you know. And I know he wanted to see me. Kevin wanted to see me get Lisa Cabrera. Hey, Jumariel been killing it. He been killing the game. If we get one more super chatter cat. Oh shit. There we go. Kevin did it. Kevin did the magic. We are going to continue this roast. Shout out to everybody in the building. Look, I need an applause line. I need to have an applause line for sure. I need an applause line. Let me see if I can get this popping. Hey. Shout out to everybody in the building. We reached our goal. Thank you so much for all the supporters. And without further ado, look, I'm finna have to play the next one that's also going to be an intro. Ooh, hold up.
Of the divine, every hieroglyph a boundary line. Yet break the seal and you will hear the same cadence tickle in the inner ear. From the Dogon plateau to the Yoruba drum, the grammar waits for the initiate to come. Nominal sentences, verbs unbound. In the swamps of the delta, the root is found. We do not borrow, we remember the key. Keep and fossilize the tongue of the free. Speak it slow, let the vowels ascend. This language has no beginning, only return without end.
You gotta tell me which one you like better, the first one or the second one. Y'all gotta tell me which one. Shout out to Jumariel again. Aristotle, those who are too black are cowards. For instance, the Egyptians and the Ethiopians. Yeah, he called them black cowards. Aristotle was on some bullshit, but at least he admitted that they were black, but he was on some bullshit. No lies. I'm trying to find the video. We're about to continue this roast. We're gonna listen to the songs.
Two serpents twine on the ivory rod. The south and north governed by God, but the God was the people, the land. The first state built by the black hand, owned by Norman district by clan. The federation was always a plan. My ass sat at the busy years here. Justice without tribal fear. When the minister took the pilgrimage road, he carried Cayman's governing load. The council stood, the elders here. The palace courtyard, the open air. Not conquest, but covenant seal. The African state on the river revealed. For the colonizer drew the line. Him it drew the blueprint divine. We do not beg for sovereignty's nine. We invented the state under African God. Five geopolitic. Two serpents twined on an ivory rod. The south and north governed by God, but the God was the people, the land. The first state built by the black hand, known by Norman district by clan. The federation was always the plan. My head sat at the vizier's ear. Justice without tribal fear. When the mentor took the pilgrimage road, he carried given to governing load. The council stood, the elders tear. The palace courtyard, the open air. Not conquest, but covenant sealed. The African state on the river. We do not beg for sovereignties now. We invented the state under African
Hey, all right, y'all been hearing some future intros. You know, let me know which one you think was the better one. But with that said, we got another one from Dumariel. Shit, come on now. I gotta go back to that applause line. I'm gonna have to have some celebration when I be getting these chats. You know, I'm gonna have to have some celebration. Let me get to that applause line type quick. Shout out to Drew Mariel in the building, like lighting up the building. Totally lighting up the building. Totally lighting it up. He says, to the lands of the Massachusetts and of the proud half-dog men, of the underground folk and of the feeble pygmies, and to the tribes of the boundless black skins and Libyans, Hessoid catalogs of women. 1, but 2 is tight also. Your skills got me on the night. I heard you play a lot of G-Funk. Oh, hell yeah. Shit, I'm gonna keep playing it. You know, like G-Funk is like one of my favorite genres. Definitely one of my favorite genres. So we about to get into this roast. I need to get some ether music. We about to get into this roast. All right, Lisa Cabrera, Hebrew Israelite, right? Negro tell you right. You know, should Africans get reparations for U.S. slavery? Let's get it. Hey, this is fair use, though. This is fair use. Fair use. I think Lisa Cabrera is from Massachusetts. She around a lot of Haitians, Dominicans. She got to be around a lot of Cape Verdeans. She from Massachusetts or something, or she from New England. I don't know if she's still there, but like, you know she feeling it. She probably feel lonely up there. She probably feel hella lonely up there, but let's get it.
Shalom, family. Good to see you all here. We're going to talk about the little sneaky mess Africa is doing. Africa apparently has been speaking to the EU and the US about getting our slave reparations. Africa is claiming they are entitled to reparations. If we get reparations, they should get part of our reparations. I say BS on that one.
Wait, when did Africa ever claim? When did any African nation, if y'all could point me to the time that an African nation asked for U.S. slavery reparations? Now, I'm one of the people who say that they actually deserve it because of the human capital that was stolen from Africa by U.S. slavers, especially during the illegal slave trade. So I would actually say that they deserve it. But come on, bro. Like, let's just keep it real. Which African nation? Name an African nation. Name to me an African nation that asked for reparations, U.S. slavery reparations. I'ma wait. Hey, shout out to Woods 852. Name one. Name one African nation that asked for U.S. slavery reparation.
So what they're saying, whatever we get, they're entitled to it as well. Hell no.
I'm calling cap on that. I'm gonna call cap. I'm gonna call cap, Lisa. And I know that picture you got up there probably like 40 years ago. You probably got like white hair or something like that. Cause you sound like Grandma Cabrera. You ain't sounding like no damn. You sound like a Grandma Cabrera. Maybe Grandma got some dementia or something. But show me that country. Let's get into it.
How the hell are you entitled to reparation? Didn't y'all sell us? If anything,
look, Marcus Vincent Thomas, and we went over this. We went over the fact that Marcus Vincent Thomas, like you watch my videos, Mr. Tariq Nasheed, he descends from Anne-Francoise Rousseau, individual who came to New Orleans on a slave boat in 1830. Tariq Nasheed's 3-time great-grandfather was born in France. Talk about tether. He was born in France in 1798. And he immigrated to NOLA, New Orleans, on a slave boat. Nobody's talking about this. Literally nobody even talks about it. You want to talk about tether and FBA, right? Y'all don't even know who Cabrera. Cabrera, you a Hebrew Israelite. Ain't no damn Hebrews in America. Y'all finna talk about Abo brews, the Abo Israelites, Abo brew. Y'all finna talk about Abo brew. Nah, hold up. I'm gonna show y'all. I gotta show y'all Cabrera. I gotta show y'all who she is. I'm gonna show y'all who she is. She a Abo, but she a Hebrew Israelite talking about America. The Hebrew Israelites, if any of you talk about black Hebrew Israelites, they in Africa. That ain't no damn America. That ain't no America. Let me get it. I'm gonna show y'all. I'm gonna show y'all who Lisa Cabrera is. I'm gonna show y'all who Lisa Cabrera is. We about to get it. I'm gonna show y'all this. I'm gonna show y'all this. Some of y'all probably already seen this before. Some of y'all probably already seen this before. I'm gonna make this. Look. You see this Albo brew? That's Lisa Cabrera. This is Lisa Cabrera right here, right?
I'm a Hebrew. I'm a Hebrew. I'm a Hebrew. I'm a Hebrew. No, this ain't religion. Dog, this how I'm living. Tell them this my culture, man. It's more than just some feelings. I'm a Hebrew. I'm a Hebrew. I'm a Hebrew.
You see that straight up confusion. She pushing FBA as a Hebrew Israelite. This some and you know FBA's be on that pretendian nonsense. Did Grandma Cabrera pushing FBA as an Israelite? Israelites in Africa. Hebrew Israelites in Africa. What are you talking about? The Hebrew faith ain't come from no damn America? What are we even talking about right now? I'm going to play it again. I'm going to show you. This is their ideology. I'm going to show it again.
I'm a Hebrew. I'm a Hebrew. I'm a Hebrew. I'm a Hebrew. No, this ain't religion. Dog, this how I'm living. Tell them this my culture, man. It's more than just some feelings. I'm a Hebrew. I'm a Hebrew. I'm a Hebrew.
That's what they be doing. That's what they be doing. That's what they be doing. Y'all see this? They be mixing different ideologies. This is the crazy work with Miss Cabrera, with Miss Granny Cabrera, Miss Dementia Cabrera, talking about African nations as for U.S. cap. That's some cap. But we've been to get into it. Let's keep it
You
going.
need to be in talks with us about how much you're gonna pay. All right, you owe us. You know, this is some ridiculous mess. Here in the U.S., the slave owner got reparations, but now the slave seller wants reparations too? Oh.
I talk about the black people who bought slaves as well. You ain't gonna talk about that. You ain't gonna talk about the people in the United States who descend from slave traders like the founder of FBA. Y'all ain't finna talk about that, huh? And you talk about seller, it was only a small percentage. Even Dennis Sperling, he talks about suing African nations for slavery. It was a very, very small percentage of the elite. Name names. Tipu Tip, Madam Tinubu. We have the names. We have the particular people. So name names. Some of those people are your ancestors. Granny Cabrera. Some of those people are your ancestors. Actually use logic. Someone sold into slavery in Africa literally had siblings, literally had children. If they were sold into slavery, their children who stayed in Africa would literally be the descendant of enslaved Africans. That's how family works. But these idiots, I mean, they're too dumb. You know, a lot of these people don't have the intellect to understand these idiosyncrasies. You know, they were what we'd be calling a short bus crowd. You know, they were what we call, you know, they're not the sharpest tools in the shed, but literally the relatives of those individuals would be the descendants of enslaved Africans. And again, talk about the descendants of enslaved Africans who emigrated back to Liberia, to Sierra Leone, to Nigeria, to Ghana in the 18th century, in the 19th century. There are literally descendants of repatriates on the African continent. But these idiots, these fools, these dimwit, tantanite grifters are spreading this bile, this degenerate bile on the interwebs. And again, it's 2026. We ain't got the time to be listening to these geriatric grannies. These abo brew geriatric grannies. It's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. We're enslaved in Egypt. You're also a tether. That's what I'm saying. They be promoting all type of different, you know what I'm saying, these different movements. And they all come from the African continent. The Abo brew from the African continent, Kemet from the African continent, Moors, literally one of the stars in the FBA flag represents the Moors. Moorish explorers who even got to America before Columbus. The Moors are literally black immigrants. Literally. The book, The Price of Racial Reconciliation by Robin Walters, details the history of Africa, supporting the diaspora for reparations for decades. And again, I mean, that's a great book. I'm definitely going to look into that. Shout out to Kevin, Mr. K. I also have a video coming about how African kings sent ships to the U.S. to rescue enslaved Africans in their kingdoms. This is documented. But these idiots, you know, they don't read, so they don't know anything about this. These idiots have no idea about this. Yeah, she is definitely a grifter. And she didn't always used to be this way. She used to be one of those African-centered Hebrews. Because if you're a black Hebrew, the only place that you have to promote is the African continent. Literally. These idiots. They're just dumb. They're just absolutely dumb.
Oh, hell no. No. So apparently this has been going on for the last few years. The AU has been talking to different countries about Africa with reparations. I'm going to show you a few of the stories.
Yeah, show me the story. I bet you it's cap. I bet you we look into it. It's cap. Let's get it. This is live. It's a live reaction.
I'm sorry, Africa. You're not entitled to nothing.
Africa's not entitled for nothing? Oh, she definitely not a follower of Dr.
So what
Kali.
They want
this
is
crazy,
money
yeah.
for slavery so that they
leaders.
can split it among African countries. I don't think so. But this is what they've been pushing for. And let me show you how far back they have been going with this whole thing.
Is she going to read it?
We didn't even know.
Is she going to read the article? Read the article. I guarantee you that article is not going to say what she claiming. I guarantee. Look, you said she got a little Lisa Craft in the corner. She being crafty as hell with the arguments. She being crafty as hell. That's by Drew Mario. That's by a scholar called Sylvian Youth. I'm finna do a video about it, so you're about to see what it is. You know, you're about to see what it is. But she being crafty as hell with these arguments saying Africa want U.S. reparation. Based upon what legal framework, right? And again, I will be the one to argue that they do. But I guarantee you that's not gonna be in Reuters. Let's just keep it a buck. I ain't gonna be in no damn Reuters, bro. These people are crazy. This is crazy work. This
was going on, and they were doing this, y'all, for the last couple of years, demanding our reparations. And I mean, these people got some nerve.
Go read the article. She
so
gonna read
the
it?
Hamites think they're entitled
she
to
gonna use
reparations.
She gonna use Hamite, bro. That's some crazy word. She gonna use Hamite. She thinks she's Shemite. Which Shemite in America? Someone told me the Hebrew Israelite, they claim Shemite. Which Shemite in America? You talk about Hamite, Shemite. A little granny, little geriatric granny up in here. Talk about Hamite, Shemite. You little Hebrew Israelite. Yeah, you been on. Yeah, she was on some bullshit. I actually used to subscribe to her, but nah, she been on some bullshit. She been on some non FBA grifter for the clicks. I'ma find that article. I'ma roll that back. I'ma roll that back and find that article. We finna read that article. We finna read it, bro. We finna actually verify what it says. I'ma read it on screen. Because I guarantee you she's lying about that. I guarantee you she's lying. I will almost bet money that she's lying. Talking about African nation want U.S. reparation. And that's finna be in Reuters. Get the fuck, come on, nah. I'm trying not to be demonetized right now. I don't want to be demonetized. I really don't. But I'm gonna read the article and we finna get into it. We finna get into it. You know, shout out to all the support in the building. You know, for this roast, this is, you know, longer than I usually go, but we finna get it on and papa-locking. You know what I'm saying? Like, we finna get it smack-a-lacking. Y'all know that I'm from the Bay Area about my lingo. We finna get it snapping. We finna get it snap-a-lacking. All right. Oh, shit. Yo, where is this at? Nah, I'm finna, hold up. I'm gonna get rid of that one. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of that one, bro. Like, it's not what I want. That ain't what I want though. Like, I'm trying to get a bruh. I'm trying to get a freaking window capture for Shozy. Bruh, I lost the video. Wait, where is it at? Should African nations, African leaders type sheet. Yeah, there we go. There we go. There you go. Shit. Ooh, that's hella big. My bad, y'all. That's hella big. We about to get this on and popping. Alright. Shit. Alright, so we're gonna read this. Alright, it's an article that she just showed on the screen to prove. Y'all can see it right here by Katrina Demany. Y'all can literally see it right here. You know, y'all can see it right here. Fuck. Let me make sure y'all can see that. Yeah, she said Hamite with the hard H. Hamite. She said Hamite with the hard H, bro. Like, okay, so here we got it. African leaders to push for slavery reparations despite resistance. Get this motherfucker out of here. You see, bro, what the, bro? Little, come on now. Just get out of here. You see an Ethiopian lady right here. A delegate walks past the AU member states' national flags during the opening of the 37th ordinary session of the Assembly of the African Union at the AU headquarters in Addis Ababa, February 17th, 2024. So it's a summary of the article right here. African Union leaders to hold talks on reparations at summit. Leaders hope to shape unified vision. Debate includes land restitution, return of cultural artifacts. Right-wing populists oppose discussions of compensation. Pay attention to that last bullet point. Right-wing populists. Y'all know that these FBAs and these ADOSers are part of the Tanzanite tree, John Tanzanite tree. But we finna continue on with the article. February 13th, African leaders meeting in Ethiopia this weekend are to launch a new push for slavery and colonial reparations, but can expect to be stonewalled by former colonial powers, most of which have ruled out making amends for historical wrongs. While the issue of reparations has gained momentum worldwide, so has the backlash. U.S. President Donald Trump said he doesn't see reparations happening. All these FBA grifters who supported the Donald, he literally said he doesn't see reparations happening. He's the most anti-reparations president that the U.S. has ever had. And he said he doesn't see reparations happening. And many of Europe leaders have opposed even talking about it. At the African Union Summit in Addis Ababa, leaders plan to shape a unified vision of what reparations may look like, from financial compensation and formal acknowledgement of past wrongs to policy reforms. Reparations is the hot topic in Addis Ababa, the AU's economic and social and cultural capital, ECOSOC wrote on X. From the 15th to the 19th century, at least 12.5 million Africans were kidnapped, forcibly transported by mostly European merchants and sold into slavery. The debate on reparations need to address the legacy of colonialism and slavery, from racism to the economic disparities between Africa and wealthy Western nations, said ECOSOC, which has been advising member states on the issue. It is increasingly becoming impossible to not acknowledge the damage caused by slavery and colonialism, said Zimbabwean lawyer and reparations expert Alfred Mavet Zenge. The continent's debt crisis can be traced back to African nations being saddled by heavy debts upon independence. Climate change can also be linked to colonialism. Africa is responsible for just a fraction of carbon emissions, but its fragile ecosystems have borne the brunt of global warming. Much of the debate around reparations, particularly in the former colonial powers such as Britain and Portugal, has focused on financial payments, but advocates say making amends for the past can take many forms. Reparations are more than just compensation, said ECOSOC's head of Secretariat William Carew. It is about ensuring future generations inherit a world that acknowledges their past and propels them towards a brighter future. The AU said in a statement that reparations for Africa could entail land restitution in countries where land was taken from indigenous populations to the return of cultural artifacts. It also highlighted the need for changes in policies that perpetuate inequalities and for international bodies such as the United Nations to hold former colonial powers to account. This might involve diplomatic pressure or legal actions at international courts at the AU. In 2023, the AU joined forces with the Caribbean community CARICOM to demand reparations. CARICOM has its own reparation plan, which among other demands calls for technology transfers and investments to tackle health crisis and illiteracy. But 30 years since the AU's forerunner, the Organization of African Unity, issued a declaration demanding reparations, there has been little progress. Jose Maria Neves, president of the African island nation Cape Verde, has said right-wing populism and its impact on moderate politics has made it difficult to hold a serious debate over the issue. In Portugal, which enslaved more Africans than any other nation, far-right party Cheka proposed charging the president with treason for suggesting that there might be a need for reparations. In Britain, right-wing populist Nigel Farage said Prime Minister Keir Starmer would be weak if he engaged in talks on the issues. In France, where the far right is on the rise, President Emmanuel Macron has ruled out reparations, calling for reconciliation instead. My greatest concern is that there will be a conversation at this AU summit, but the resolutions will not be implemented, Mabadzenge said. Again, this is the article. So, we read through the entire article, and obviously that grifter was lying. Obviously she was lying, and y'all ultimately shouldn't even really be surprised about that. She's a grifter, she's a liar, she's a degenerate, the whole 9 yards. It's really pathetic, ultimately. It's really nasty what she's doing. But again, she lied. She lied, and we shouldn't be surprised about that. So, let's get into it. Let's get into the video again.
Might think they're entitled to reparations. These people are out of their mind. So here's another one. In Africa, demands for slavery reparations grow. And so they literally have been talking to this government as well as the EU.
See, this idiot thinks that, and look, this roast is fair use. Fair use, this roast is for educational purposes. This idiot literally thinks that the United States is the only country with chattel slavery. Not to mention, my chat disappeared, but not to mention the forced labor camps during apartheid, right? The just numerous instances of subjugation on the African continent. And she thinks that it only happened in America. It's crazy work. Give me a 1 in the chat if you're still there. My chat just disappeared on my OBS. Give me a 1 in the chat if you're still there. Hope y'all are still there. Give me a 1 in the chat. Let me know. I don't know if it's going through. I don't know if it's going through. Hope y'all still there. It looks like it is. Shout out to y'all in the building. All right. We could keep it going.
The nerve, and this article dates back to 2023. So they've been doing these talks for the last few years, and we're just
so even talking about, even though according to the Hebrew Israelite philosophy, the Shemites were trafficked all over the world. So they weren't just trafficked to the U.S. The Hebrew people have been trafficked all over the world. So she's not even following her Hebrew Israelite philosophy. I mean, the One West Hebrew Israelites, they literally talk about, they have a particular type of philosophy. But most Hebrew Israelite groups will say that there are Hebrew Israelites in Africa. So based upon her own religion, her own faith tradition, she should be supporting these individuals. Right? If anything, that article states Africa is only wanting reparations to Africa for Western imperialism and colonialism, not slavery. And it is just supporting the diaspora's campaign for reparations for slavery. Facts, Kevin. Is she brain dead? I think she's brain dead. I mean, I think she's just old and she's not aware of these things. I ultimately think that's what it is, but we're gonna continue.
just getting light of it right now. So I'm going to show you videos of other people that have recently found this out. Hold on one second. And these folks are serious. They literally think we owe them something. They're going to get part of our reparations. You ain't getting none. Camry.
And again, like, I don't know how brain dead you have to be if an African nation asks a European nation for reparations. How does that include black people in America? Does she think like all of the reparations around the planet should go to black Hebrew Israelites in the United States? Maybe that's what she believes. Yabo, she's stupid. Shout out to Evantola. Since 1950, Africa has had over 220 coups. Yeah, facts. Facts. But again, like, I just, like, she thinks like the mere thought of a black nation asking for reparations means that they're stealing from the fecal brain assimilationist. I really don't know how she comes to that conclusion. I really don't know.
Johnson, I want to thank you for sending this story to me. All right. Here we go.
Fair use, fair use. This roast is fair use for educational purposes. Fair use.
Let me share my screen again. Okay, please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. And thank you, Monica Gregory, for your super sticker. Thank you very much. Okay. All right, y'all, let's get started. I hear this stuff.
Did y'all just hear that Africa said that they are included in the African Americans reparations? So apparently Africa and the African Union, this 2020.
By the way, this girl complaining looks 100% Nigerian. I think that's kind of funny. Why is it always like the super dark skinned ones? Why? That's hilarious. Like, why is it always the super dark skinned ones? I don't know. That just seems funny to me. That seems funny. Let's make it continue. I'm trying to get my chat up because I'm only seeing it on the screen. I'm trying to get access to my chat again. Yeah, she never reads the article. She's just grifting. Like, facts, Kevin. Facts.
25. They basically told America that they are leading the cause for reparations for African countries and people affected by slavery. So basically,
wouldn't you want majority black nations to lead that? And again, like, being a nation is more powerful than being an individual citizen. And this says, justice for Africans and people of African descent. They shouldn't care about this because they're Aborigines. So Aborigines shouldn't be concerned about this. Right? Aborigines shouldn't be concerned about this whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? So this is just grifting.
We found out that African Americans have 1.7 trillion in spending power, right?
Fuck.
That means collectively, we got the bag.
Again, buying power is not the same as consumption ability, consumption of readily available goods. I mean, and look, the weave is obviously the reason why these people are brain dead. They're so brain dead. Let's continue.
Collectively, we got the bag. None of which we already knew. We didn't have to shout it from the rooftops, and we damn sure didn't need anybody else clocking our bag.
Right. So let me just stop her right there. Right. So what they're trying to do, ladies and gentlemen, is completely take over the whole cause of reparation.
Wait, well, how are they trying to do that when these are Aborigines? A lot of these Abo brews are literally, they identify as Aborigines. So how exactly would they be trying to do that? I don't understand. You see how they jump back and forth from claiming African descent and not claiming African descent? Like, it's literally one big grift. Like, it's literally one big grift, ultimately.
Where they kind of push us to the side and they do all the talking with the government, right? So you know what that leads to. If reparations
That's
is
funny
given,
too.
they're going to walk away.
Fly, 9864. If they got the bag, why are they asking for reparations? That's a good point.
The whole thing. their excuses go, well, we got it. We were the ones talking to, the U.S. government. We were, that's what they're trying to steal. Listen, they're trying to steal our reparations.
Literally in the article that she posted and didn't read, it was talking about Belgian colonized countries like DRC going to Belgium, Cabo Verde, Angola, and Mozambique going to Portugal, Nigeria and other English-speaking countries going to Britain. So literally the article that she posted disproved her lie. But she's literally just grifting, trying to get the fecal brain assimilationist, worked up into a frenzy. And it's all for clicks. It's ultimately all for clicks. I mean, obviously her little videos about the book of Jasher and Enoch or whatever get 2 views a video. So she's got to grift on this FBA stuff to be able to get clicks.
And now it's at the point where the African Union...
Drew Mariel says, hey, I'm in Canada. What do you think about the technocracy movement? Trump is targeting countries connected to it and wants them to join the U.S. Yeah, I think it's a bad deal. Peter Thiel is a bad dude. Definitely you want to oppose, those individuals for sure. The technocracy movement is not a good movement. It does not have our best interests at heart at all.
Is working with America and top American officials to both colonize the African American culture, but also to receive reparations. Did you know that they have now, the African Union have now been in talks with America about us, African Americans, being their property?
What the? I'm gonna just let this ride out. I'm gonna let this ride out.
Back when Big Pooh with the Loose said that he was going to pew pew America, and I told y'all, oh, don't worry, they sending boats around to come pick us up. That was why. Remember when I said that they consider us Africa's property? That was why them boats was gonna be here.
She unironically believes this. She unironically actually believes. I mean, if she's a troll, okay, if she's if this isn't serious and she's a troll, but if she actually believes this, there's no way. There's no way that somebody could be this dumb. Come on. There's no way. There's no way she could be this dumb, bro. Nah.
Consider us Africa's property, which means that Africa and the African Union is now fighting America for our fucking reparations that they didn't even help. You know how fucking delusional you gotta be to be trying to destiny swap with the same people.
Yeah, she gotta be rage, but she a Nigerian. She a Nigerian scammer, bro. She gotta be rage baiting. She some Yoruba. She's a Yoruba scammer online, bro. She gotta be rage baiting, bro.
Your ancestors literally helped sell into y'all literally caused it. Had you not what was the theme of the Sinners movie? What was the theme? You are the only person standing in between the demon getting in and out of your home. You are the ones opening up the door, the threshold. You had to invite them in order for them to come in and do that shit to you. Had you not invited those colonizers in there, they would have not only not sold us, but also, because wait a minute, they did turn around and put the people that were in power in shackles. They said, well, we're done with them. We also want you too. And whoever was left over was just left over after the abolishment of the transatlantic slave trade. Do you know how insane you have to be to think that you are entitled to some money that does not historically belong to you? Knowing good and goddamn well it had nothing to do with you. You may have been impacted by the slave trade, but the reparations that this country owes us is not because of the actual slave trade where it started. It is because of what has been done to us as we were here.
These people are so
country.
Dumb. There's no way.
Build this country on your back.
There's no way that they can be this dumb. There's no way. I'm thinking about Byron Donald being a Jamaican, and they're saying, you don't know anything about slavery, as if Jamaica never had slavery. That was what these FBAs were saying, and Tucker Carlson was cheering them on. They literally think that the only country that had chattel slavery was the U.S. They're literally that dumb. I don't want to believe it, but it's just these niggas.
If you have not been here, if you have not been shooting with us in the gym, you should not have your grubby, nasty ass hands out asking for money on our behalf. And the worst part about it is, African America, they doing it right under your nose. That is why people feel some type of way about what's going on at Essence Fest. That is why we feel some type of way about y'all continuously trying to claim that we don't have any culture. And then the first opportunity you get to try and capitalize off of our culture, you got your hand out looking for something. You got your hand out looking for something, constantly wanting to be the center of attention, constantly wanting to be the how do I put it? The one that everybody wants to be around. The one that everybody wants to be a part of. The one that everybody wants to pour money into or steal from. Golly, it is fucking exhausting being an African American. It really be your own people. Because when I tell you the hate comes from every single angle of the diaspora, and then to turn around and think that you have the opportunity to eat off of our reparations is insane. I don't give a damn what money America gives to y'all. That shit ain't ours. That don't have African Americans' name on it. When we separated, we had to build our own cultures. We had to take some of our, our historical culture that was passed down to us back when our ancestors was in Africa, and we had to make something new of it.
It's classic insularity. Even if you go back to 1776, African Americans are the descendants of Africans who were enslaved by France, enslaved by the Dutch, enslaved by Spain, enslaved by the British Crown. So there are numerous polities in Europe that enslaved African American ancestors before the United States. So if you're having a holistic, comprehensive reparations conversation, African Americans are owed reparations by the U.S., Britain, France, Spain, the Netherlands, maybe even going to Germany if you want to talk about New Germany or some of those German settlements, or German nationals who settled in the United States and owned slaves. So yeah, it's toxic insularity. It's just dumb. Like, it's honestly, and look at her features. Look at her features. I mean, if this is an African troll, like, she doing a good job. She look 100% Yoruba, bro. If somebody said Nalade, look at those cheekbones, bro. I bet you she would probably try to claim Abo. Dark skin and those cheekbones. Like, come on now. Like, let's just keep this a buck. Come on, man.
It's just the audacity to me, because I vividly remember the majority of my life being told by people from across seas and being on the internet and hearing people consistently trying to undermine, undervalue, and to consistently try to tear down Black African Americans and what we contribute to this world, but then got your hand out looking for our reparations. That's insane. Are you not embarrassed? You should be embarrassed. That is insane to me. Also, bitch, we are not your motherfucking property. Have you lost your motherfucking mind? You know what? You gonna end up finding out. African Union gonna end up fucking around and finding out the way that these white folks gotta find out every other day. We are not your property. The fuck is wrong with you?
Y'all heard about Africa seeking reparations for the slaves that they sold into slavery?
Bruh, these people are dumb. They're so dumb.
They're coming.
They're so dumb. I actually expected more from this. Maybe I'm stupid for expecting more. Nah, they're hella... Let's just keep... We gonna roll through it.
Our reparations. Y'all ever wonder how we are able to contribute as a race over $1 trillion a year into this economy? And now they're coming after the reparations we never received. I really feel like this is a plan or a plot
shit, dude.
To
this is crazy.
Convince us to
this is crazy
go to
work,
Africa,
man.
A place that never accepted us.
FBA fatigue, yeah,
like
that's real. Like this is crazy.
They care about taking, and what better way to take from somebody that look like you, that don't know? Well, they feel like we don't know our history or our culture, but we were here already.
Oh, Abo. That's an Abo. Hold up. If you were here already, then you don't get reparations for the enslavement of Africans. If you're an Aboriginal and you were never enslaved, which many Aboriginals claim that, then you don't get reparations. You're not part of reparations if you were pretendian. If you were Indian, you're not part, or you got to go to the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Go to the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Blackface minstrel, U.S. hegemony imperialist. Facts. Go to the Bureau of Indian Affairs if you're an Aborigine. We was already here. Go to the Bureau of Indian Affairs. That's where you're going to get your check. That's where you get your casino. Go to the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Stop having a conversation about reparations for the enslaved Africans, because you're not African. you're an Aborigine.
A lot of these reparations hearings, right? And it's two things that irk my spirit, but the second one don't really irk me the most, but the first one do. And the first one is these Pan-Africans. You'll get these Pan-Africans, because this is how I set up if y'all haven't seen it. So you'll have like a commission, right? That's listening to the people.
This goes back to what I said, if people try to attack me for this, but, a good majority of the fecal brain assimilationists online are from the South. They just are. They're from the South. Now, usually the majority of black people are from the South. But a lot of, FBAs are susceptible to this ideology because of the lack of education outcomes in the South. So they get miseducated and diseducated. Point blank, period. You can keep it going.
People, on why we should get reparations and things like that. So they're going to try to pass out to the legislators so they can see if it get passed, which it won't get passed because you can't do it race-based. And that's how they tricking a lot of people. Like, hey, we black, we should get it. You can't get it like this. So that's number one. But anyway, so you have different people that come and speak. And a lot of these are black Americans too. Let me say this. A lot of these people that are Pan-African are black Americans, but they get up here and just sabotage the whole thing. One thing they'll do, they get up there and say, hey, our people from the diaspora should get some too. They are brothers and sisters, so they throw that out there. Then another person might come up there, he gonna start reciting poems. Like these people will get at a reparations hearing where people are trying to listen, that's on this commission board, they're trying to help us get some type of financial gain, and these damn Pan-Africans will get up there and start reciting a poem. A poem that they wrote, they ain't got nothing to do with the money. They ain't saying like, hey, we should get this for this, because if you can trace, they ain't talking about none of that.
Cut the check.
These Pan-Africans are time wasters.
Cut the check.
I promise they are. And we all know the tellers. I've seen a lot of tellers come up there and speak on like how, well, we should get it too because we experience racism and we be oppressed here. Okay, cool, y'all do. But y'all, that was y'all.
Most black people who talk about reparations are black Americans. You won't see people who are immigrants talk about that in that way. Like these dudes are making it up. Like the vast majority of black people who are either for or against reparations are black Americans. That's just a fact. Olayemi is getting a degree. Agnesh, they're opening businesses. They're not worrying about reparations. They're not thinking about reparations. Most black people who are well-to-do are not thinking about reparations. The only black people who sit up here talking about reparations are broke and they want a check. Let's just keep it a buck. These are the people talking about reparations. Not to say that it's not. It is a just demand, but the people who, like Dr. Collins said, sit around in inactivity waiting for some damn reparations. The people who do this are ones who actually need it. They need the money. They're broke. They don't got it together. Those are the ones who sit around begging for reparations. And when they get the reparations, they'll just spend it to the Chinese store, to the Arab store, to all of these foreign stores. And they won't actually use it for the purpose of what it's supposed to be used for. That's why it's like, check, 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 check. Give me the check. And it's just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is not really legit.
Our choice to come here. Y'all immigrated here. Mike, whatever it is, you immigrated here. We've been here.
Many black Americans in the previous video that I posted have black immigrant ancestry. The FBA flag, one of the stars on the flag, literally speaks about the black explorers who immigrated to the United States or to the Americas, even before Columbus. Just because you immigrated into the U.S., like you could have been a free black person who immigrated in the 1800s and then was sold into slavery. Or you could have been a free black person who, after the Civil War, you immigrated. You immigrated before in the 1840s, and then your descendants experienced the oppression of that period, which they call Jim Crow. So again, like, these people are stupid. They don't think. They can't think. And they don't really have very many brain cells. And President Tariq Nasheed literally on record saying, if they got reparations, black Americans, they'd spend it all in the club. He said he doesn't care if they spent it on cocaine. He said that out of his own mouth. So you already know what timing he's on.
Your grandparents ain't come from this land. Your grandparents come from over there somewhere. Your grandparents ain't got nothing to do with nothing on what we built, what we fought for, and what we bled for you.
Unless they're Americo-Liberians, Americo-Salonians, or different immigrationists in the 19th and 20th century who are the descendants of Africans enslaved in the U.S., the Mascogos in Mexico, the Samana people of the Dominican Republic. One of the Essence Festival leaders is literally a Liberian. So he literally descends from Africans enslaved in the U.S. But they're like, oh, Essence Fest is ran by tethers. His ancestors were enslaved in the United States. But again, these people are stupid. They don't think. They can't think. They won't think.
But them Pan-Africans, though, they is a problem, especially them old ones. Them old Pan-Africans are just a waste of time. We ain't gonna never get nothing if they up there. Anytime I see somebody with a kente cloth on, or them garbs they be wearing, them brown and green and red garbs they be wearing with the hat, it's done. It's over for me, yo. It is over for me. As much as I go at the Democrats, I think Pan-Africans are worse than some of these Democrats that fake like they for you, but they're really for the immigrants. These Pan-Africans are dangerous, bro. They are dangerous. I'm watching this guy. This is something important. Then you got other black people come up there. They talking about social issues. Nigga, forget yourself. You need to talk to social services what's going on in your apartments and stuff like that. You need to talk to social services about why your kid this ain't got nothing to do with reparations. But shout out to the black people that stood on business, boy. It was a lot of black people stood on business, and the black people that stood on business, a lot of them people didn't want to hear that. They was upset up there. Shout out to New York, my Harlem people. But they was upset up there. They didn't like what the FBAs had to say. They didn't like what the Sulani people had to say. They didn't like that. They did not like that. And shout out to my black Americans that stood on business that day. And there's another thing I want to say before I go. Now I'm going to do that on another video.
How is it that the country that sold us, right? This is literally documented. How is it that the countries, okay, that sold us are now demanding that the United States, okay, who enslaved us, pay them reparations for us?
Actually,
Okay,
part of, I even forgot to mention this in Cobra. Even Khalid Muhammad, started to speak about this. But part of the full reparations for Cobra includes repatriation. So repatriation, some people may want to take that money and go to Ghana. And like if Afuntola in the chat, she says she's moving to Nigeria. Some people may want to take that money and leave. And the government has to support them. So not everybody wants to stay in the United States, right? So you can't get mad at people who want to leave. And if an African country wants a program for those people, they have the right. But again, these individuals, they can't think, they don't think, and they won't think. That's going to be my new motto for the fecal brain assimilationist.
I know you guys have seen this making the rounds, and I've been really hesitant to talk about it or whatever, but to be honest with you, it's time to be real, okay? Or whatever. Black Americans, okay, diasporic Black Americans, okay, who are descendants of chattel slavery are not property of the continent of Africa or any of the countries or tribal governments that it represents. So for them to participate in our sale, kidnapping, okay, and then to be replanted in another country, never assist us in establishing our own economics or our own type of individuality or solidarity once we were freed.
Who said, G Mario said, can we talk about Egypt or Kush instead of FBA? I mean, well, this show was about, Africa, owning Black Americans. And maybe in the end, since I've gotten a lot of support, we could go over some of the textual data. But also, this roast has been cooking, for a long time. And shout out to Kevin, in the chat, Mr. K. He's the one who shared this video with me. So we're going to roll through it. These dudes are, they're idiots. And I'm actually surprised. The majority of these people speaking are Black women. Usually these delineationists coons are male. Didn't really expect to see as many Black women. But it just shows that, the American education system is terrible. These individuals, they don't have critical thinking skills. They don't have critical thinking skills at all. And I mentioned this before on X. All these dudes talking about, replacement theory, but they don't even want to mention baby deletion. You got Daily Wrap-Up Crew. They posting up a Diaspora War video every other day. Have they ever mentioned baby deletion? Those of y'all who subscribe to them, let me know. Because to me, that's the real genocide. If you got, 20% higher rate of abortion than any other ethnic group, those are your population. So if you actually care about maintaining Black America as a population, you should be against baby deletion. In other words, murder. I mean, that's probably a more accurate way of describing it. But yeah, shout out to you, Mario. Maybe at the end of this, we could get into that.
Whatever, to now demand reparations for us that will contribute to Africa. Let's be clear. Go and look up the mission statement for the African Union or whatever. They have included Black Americans, okay, descendants of chattel slavery, as their 6th district.
Holy shit,
what's funny?
dude. That's crazy work that she sees a problem with that. Malcolm X literally set up the OAAU, the Organization of African American Unity, as a branch of the OAU. And for the longest time, there wasn't a consideration for the AU. Or the AU didn't consider the diaspora as legit. But now that they have a 6th union, she's claiming that it's a grift. She's claiming that it's a scam. So it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't type of situation.
African Americans didn't know anything about this. We didn't know anything about this forced repatriation. As a matter of fact, African representatives have been meeting with the Democratic Party.
I mean, Mario, I didn't say that black women are usually smarter than men. I just said that usually with this delineation and stuff, you usually find men as part of it as opposed to black women. From my personal experience. Shout out to Anthony McHale in the chat. Yeah, I mean, there was no Nigeria, Ghana. All of these were, ethnic nations. And when they try to say that these countries sold them, go to the individual, name names. Is less than 1% of people who collaborated with Europeans. Name names. That's more specific. And that gets down to the brass tacks.
To discuss this and lay the groundwork for not only for them to take our reparations, but for those reparations to contribute to Africa, not to the Black American families who actually paid the price in body and spirit. I don't know what y'all thought. Okay, you know what it is? I do know what y'all thought. 1, destiny swapping his girl. And 2, or whatever, the reason y'all put a fucking Nigerian American, okay, in charge of our branch chapter is because y'all wanted to keep that shit secret. I need y'all to know.
What are you
Black Americans over here not gonna tolerate that shit. Shit ain't sweet. Shit ain't sweet. If anybody is discussing reparations for us, it should be us. Second of all, reparations for the injured party should go to the injured party, not to the continent that assisted in our injury. About to be a motherfucking rant, so hold on. Africans, come to the motherfucking front.
Bro,
no
these
way
are all women. What is...
Any
Holy shit.
Any kind of convention and state that y'all deserve.
Bruh. These are all women. Okay, I guess I was wrong.
Reparations. Have y'all lost your entire fucking minds? You are not going to co-op anything that black people in America, descendants of slavery, descendants of chattel slavery, have gone through. The only motherfuckers that's going to get goddamn reparations is us. Matter of fact, y'all need to be paying us reparations for actually selling us off.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's very,
really
very true. Because of the difficulty of the economy, a lot of these women may be emotional, they may be struggling, and they may think that a reparations check is their saving grace. So yeah, that's definitely probably why. That's definitely you seeing more women join the delineation movement.
Fucking rockers, just because you came to America does not mean you deserve reparations. Y'all sounding like white folks at this goddamn point. I swear, black folks can't have shit. And I mean African Americans, not fucking Africans. The level of disrespect that y'all have for us and what our ancestors have gone through is baffling. You don't deserve reparations. If your ass was born in Africa and you came here for a better life due to us getting our civil rights and opening the door for us, you don't deserve shit. You got what you needed. You got a fucking green card. You got a visa. You brought your family over here. Good for you. But that's where the fuck the bus stops at. Try that shit if y'all want to. Y'all gonna really see some fucking division. Y'all need to start figuring out how y'all gonna pay Africa.
Yeah, there needs to be division between smart and stupid people. I agree with that division. I'm fully in favor. Set trooping in 2026 is crazy. Shout out to Draga. Shout out to everybody who's supporting. No, I support division between smart and stupid people. I'm totally in favor of that war.
African Americans, reparations right along with white folks in this country. That's what y'all asses need to do. Y'all didn't rain on my goddamn blood pressure.
Okay, let's see what geriatric. Let's see what
the
Granny.
Africans have been sneaking.
Let's see what Granny Cabrera has to say. Let's see what geriatric Cabrera has to say with her crafty arguments. Fair use, fair use. This roast is for educational purposes.
Behind our backs, talking to people in charge, the Democratic Party and everybody.
How was it behind your back when an international news agency reported it? And you read it from a publicly available website? How? Oh, jeez.
Talking about they'll take the reparations on our behalf. I'll tell you what. If y'all take our reparations, every African in this country better get the fuck out. Okay? Because you won't be safe here. You better pack your bags up.
Bruh! Okay, the people you can't even fight the white people who are the descendants of a slave owner. You gonna fight? Come on now, you ain't fighting nobody. You ain't busting a grape. Even if they did, let's say any group took reparation, you have every excuse to go to war. And that's really the only way you about to get reparations. But you sitting there waiting for a check. Sitting around in inactivity waiting for a check. And you think about to be dangerous for who? For who exactly? That's the crazy work that we're talking about. Like, these dudes are, I can't even say dudes, I gotta say gals. These gals are crazy. You talk about, like, it's about to be dangerous for who? If anything, it should be dangerous for the descendant of a slave owner, but you still kissing up to them, begging them for a check. That's how I know that you're fake. You're selling wolf tickets. It's fake. None of this is legit.
So, yeah, so we didn't, everybody is just finding this out now, but this has been going on for the past few years with them sneaking and talking to top officials about taking our reparations money. And, it should be because, we came out of Africa, so it should go to Africa. I don't think so. That sounds like some Nigerian scam. That's what it sounds like.
Geriatric Cabrera looked like an Igbo or an Edo. She looked like an Igbo. That's her old picture. That's a picture when she was young. She got that Farrah Fawcett type of weave. She got like a Sarah Jessica Peters type of weave. But she looked like an Igbo girl. That's what she looked like. She definitely came from Nigeria. And the first one came from Nigeria too. She looked like a Yoruba. So you look at your face. Yeah, you came from Nigeria. Then Tariq Nasheed, he said that Marcus, he said, he's like majority of his DNA is Nigerian. We look at this scamming. We know that you in Nigeria, bro. You scam like you from Lagos. You a hustler. So yeah, we look at your face. The whole world looks at Black American. They think Nigerian. The whole world. You can't hide the genetics. It's impossible to hide.
So you mean to tell me y'all talking to this government about taking our money and just divvying it up over there in Africa, and we sit with nothing? Okay, so bro. Not only every African in this country better pack up and leave, every single politician that's negotiating with them, you better pack the hell up and leave too. Seriously.
Look, Black people have been ran out of neighborhood. Compton used to be 70% Black. It's 80% Hispanic. All the Black cities out in DFW, Dallas, Fort Worth, are Hispanic because of the baby deletion and the lack of economic unity. Hispanics come here, work together. They come here, have 10 kids, and they take over these Black neighborhoods. If you can't even touch Latinos in Compton, you can't touch the Hispanics in Texas. You see a Hispanic population growing 200, 300% in the South, in the deep South, the South, with that fricative at the end, South. And the baby deletion in the South is exponentially high. Ain't nobody afraid of you. The Chinese come up in the Black community, set up all type of old Greece, Pakistani Indians selling pork. They're Muslim. They don't even believe in pork, but they selling pork to you ninjas. They're selling pork because they're not afraid of you. Nobody's afraid of you. Bottom caste. Nobody's afraid of you. That's why you're begging for reparations. Because you don't even have the ability to defend your community from terrorists like Zimmerman and all of these individuals, who committed democide in the Black community against Trayvon Martin, Renisha McBride, Sandra Bland. The list goes on and on. And again, that's not even something that only affects, so-called descendants of Africans enslaved in the United States. But if they're trying to sell wolf tickets, acting like you tough, take over the community first. Kick out the immigrant, running the Black community. All these foreign immigrants selling trash in all these corner stores. Kick them out first. Then come talk to me. Kick out the banks first. The banks with these predatory loans in the Black community. Kick out them first. Then maybe we'll take you seriously.
These people done lost their minds. Africa, don't get involved in our reparations. Whatever we got going on for reparations, that's between us and this government. You need to see your way out. You ain't coming to no negotiating table when we are discussing reparations. Don't you even try to come to no negotiation.
And the most hilarious thing about this is the fact that this goes against what Martin Luther King and Malcolm X were talking about in terms of international leverage. These Negroes aren't getting sugar honey iced tea without international leverage. If a Chinese person was murdered in San Francisco, you'd see the Chinese consulate get on the phone with the U.S. ambassador say, "What's up?" If a Jew was murdered by a cop, you'd see Netanyahu, or at least the Israeli ambassador to the United States, get on the phone and have a conversation. When a Negro is murdered by the police, who's calling? Because there's no unity. You think you're going to get reparations in the AIPAC, Zionist-owned Democratic Party, billionaire-owned Republican Party, billionaires run both parties, and you think through this political system, where black people are the third ethnic group, Hispanic is second, black people are about to be the fourth, as Indian population explodes, Asians are the third. So white people, Hispanic, Asian, black people, and you think in that political situation, without international leverage, you're really going to be able to get reparation. You can't even stop buying fake hair from the Korean, the Malaysian, the Brazilian. You can't even wear your own hair. But you're going to be able to fight this through. I mean, it's just nonsense. It's ultimately just and for a Hebrew Israelite, the Hebrew Israelite promoting black, Hispanic, Native American. These Hebrew Israelites talking about Gadite, Benjamite, Elamite, Ephraimite. Elamite will be Indian in their conception. Ephraimite, Puerto Rican. Levite, Haitian. These are black and brown immigrants according to the Hebrew Israelite ideology. Look, I don't know if, Miss Golden Girl Cabrera is some type of Abo brew. She seems like an Abo brew. But, I mean, there's just so many contradictions in this grift. It's ultimately hard to count. It's just ultimately even hard to digest. I mean, I think I'm done with this video. Ultimately, it's just some foolishness. It's ultimately just some foolishness. So, what should I do now? I think shout out to Marielle. I mean, we could go over some of the comedic stuff if you want a review. If you're still here, we could look at that. Yeah, UBI is ultimately the only thing. And look, Cabrera, like I said, you look at her old content, she was one of those African Hebrews, I think. I think Mr. Kevin spoke to me about that. She was one of those Hebrews are in Africa too type of person. I guess she thinks that Africa's only Hamite and not Shemite anymore, So she was one of those grifters. So you can see how the FBA check, allows individuals to grift, right? The FBA clicks, right? So, shout out to Mr. K. There's another video. I don't know if I'm gonna do it on this one of that other. I can't like the Dana or whatever she is. I don't know if I got time for that. But if Marielle or anybody here, if you want me to go over some of the data, the ancient Kemetic data about blackness, because some of these idiots think that black Americans are the only black people. Some of these idiots, I've been hearing that for years. If you want me to go over that, let me know in the chat and I will. With that, shout out to everybody in the building. If you want to support me, the link is pinned. You can hit the Cash App if you would like to support. You can hit that. But with that said, if Dieu Marielle or nobody else wants that, we go ahead and close this out. I'm gonna start playing the music in the background so we can get it.
The storm curves like the womb of the sky, the same seat where the Ashanti kings lie. The headdress cradles the spirit's flight. Same wood, same grain, same ancestral night. Left claws on the throne song, symbols warding off spiritual harm. Low is blooming in the palace pool, copied in the courts of Ife's rule. Heated waste, fans blue, every color holds a value. The smoke, the kilt, the woven loom. We've gathered in the room, not imitation, but memories are. The pattern travels, not the card. Pick up the 80s, pull the thread tie, classical Africa glows in the night.
What is good in the neighborhood? It should be looping. Well, I don't know what's going on. Why is it not playing? Oh, did I lose connection? Oh yeah, I lost connection. Yeah, that's annoying when that happens. It happens pretty frequently. pretty frequently. Damn. Y'all still there? My connection got screwed. My connection got screwed. Well, we're back in full effect though. full effect. How we doing? Let's took a little break. Shout out to Dew, to Powwow, my friend's own one, to TP, Calgary Stampede in the Indian Village. They're real natives of America. Hey, just give it anything. Yeah, we about to pop it off. About to stop him off. Nigga don't time to pop him off. Yeah. Alright, we about to run through this and then, we're gonna get. I'm gonna play my shit again. Yeah.
Two serpents twine on the ivory rod. The south and north governed by God, but the God was the people, the land. The first state built by the black hand, known by Norman district by clan. The federation was always a plan. My ass at the busy years here. Justice without tribal fear. When the master took the pilgrimage road, he carried Cayman's governing load. The council stool, the elders here. The palace courtyard, the open air. Not conquest, but covenant seal. The African state on the river revealed. For the colonizer drew the line. Him and drew the blueprint divine. We do not beg for sovereignty's nine. We invented the state under African God. Five geopolitics. Two serpents twined on an ivory rod. The south and north governed by God, but the God was the people, the land. The first state built by the black hand, known by Norman district by clan. The federation was always the plan. My said at the vizier's ear. Justice without tribal fear. When the mentor took the pilgrimage road, he carried gimmicks, governing load. The council stool, the elders tier, the palace courtyard, the open air. Not conquest, but covenant sealed. The African state on the river revealed. Before the colonizer drew the line, Kim drew the blueprint divine. We do not beg for sovereignty's now.
Hey.
We invented the state under African God.
Hey.
Let's go.
I'm gonna put this low. All right, we about to get into this. Look, actually, let me go back to the old school. Hey yo, shout out to Joe Bailey in the chat right now. Yeah. We're about to get into this. Hey. If you're a Michael Jackson fan, you're gonna recognize this. Y'all didn't know that this was a music channel, but it is. It's music and intellectualism. Alright. Alright, so here we got it right here. So we have in the 18th dynasty, KRUF TT-192. You see Tasamau, Upper Egypt, being depicted as darker than the Nubians. So people who try to say that, the Egyptians are always depicted as lighter than the Nubians, this has been refuted, right? This is refuted right here. Completely refuted. Yeah. So you have the Tomarek Miri. You see Nubians, they're depicted with reddish brown skin. and TT100. So again, remember that TT192 and TT100, you see Nubians as red-brown, similar to the Egyptians. So the idea that they were separated with respect to that is absolutely false. Yeah. Tasamau is an Egyptian, right? Tasamau is an upper Egyptian. Tasamau was his second one, right there. Yeah. Thutmose, the first in TT51, third pharaoh of the 18 dynasties, depicted as black and divine, right? For people saying that they never depicted themselves as black, that's obviously false. You can see that in TT51, right there. This is the tomb of Userhat. I know y'all remember the time. Let's change up the game a little bit. I'm gonna actually go back to some of the smackers. So you see here, TT 359, Intercal, Amos Nefertari, first great royal wife. You can see that there. You can see her depicted as black, right there. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. You see that right there. That's pretty clear. I'm seeing the, oh man. Yeah. Hey, shout out to Kevin, you know, showing me some of the old videos of Cabrera basically having a more positive take with respect to Africa. You look like you've been following her for quite some time. That's crazy work though. I mean, yeah, I would say, I don't like to use the term nilotic because it's like a false racial term, but like you could say that if you really wanted to.
A heavy ominous synth bass line with trap snares mixed with the sound of a distant echoing shaker like a sistrum. Sun God, cut. Yo, shut it down, let's talk. Hey, yo, they preach December trying to copyright the season, but the
So then you have KV11, Book of Gates, portrays the individuals of Kemet with dark skin. You can see that right there.
that's just paganism. Well, your whole tree is pagan, son. It's a sycamore nut where the resurrection's begun. You hang your ornaments, we hung the G to cross with bars. Osiris on the tree trunk underneath Egyptian stars. You call it crucifixion, we call it raising of the pillar. 2,000 years before y'all put the God killer and the killer.
You have the tomb of Mir, 6th Dynasty Nomarch, Neonk Pepi and his son Pepionk, referred to as Hepi the Black and Henny the Black. Tombs of Mir is one of the numerous examples where you see the people of classical Africa refer to themselves as black. You see that there? Yeah, I mean, the fact that she did a 180, you know, the fact that she did a 180, you know, is kind of crazy. You know, shout out to Joe Bailey. You know, I know we didn't my generation, you know, we love 90s music. You know, we love 90s music. Definitely. I mean, DJ Quick, you know, DJ Quick is a legend. DJ Quick is one of the greatest producers of all time. Like, most definitely. Hey, yo, shout out to Zuchetto, my Senegalese brother. Like, I haven't seen Zuchetto in a minute. Shout out to Zuchetto. Hey, I want Zuchetto to start making content again. Because Zuchetto is one of the great researchers in this space. You know, I know he went to Senegal. You know, I was in West Africa recently, too. So I know you went to Senegal to see the fam. But, like, hey, I'm glad to see you back here in the comments. Yeah, I mean, the study of antiquity and Middle Ages, you know, I kind of take it with a grain of salt. They're not necessarily they got some good work, but they're not necessarily the best. Then you got Lucian's narrative as depicted by Licinus, and offers insight into the Greek perspective on ancient Kemetic characteristics. Licinus describes a young Egyptian emphasizing not only his black skin, but also his thick lips and thin legs, and noting his plaited hair as a sign of servitude. This portrayal reflects the black stereotypes prevalent at the time. Hey yo, shout out to Smash Rockwell. I got a lot of these sources from Smash Rockwell and Black Like Osiris. Definitely get his book. And he got a new album out too. Definitely support his new album. I'm definitely gonna get his album, and I'm gonna review it as well. Yeah, shout out to Zuchetto. Hey, Zoo, we definitely gotta tap in together and, like, you know, start doing research, because, like, there's definitely been a lot of stuff that's come, you know, through the pipe, you know, ever since you've been in hiatus. So most definitely. You got Aristotle's work on physiognomy, and he associates skin color with courage, claiming that an excessively black or white complexion indicates cowardice. D. Marial posted that as well. He noted too black a hue marks a coward, as with the Egyptians and the Ethiopians. Too white a complexion does as well, as seen in women. The complexion of courage lies between the two. So he dissed black people and women in the same sentence. I mean, Aristotle sounds like a manosphere dude. He said, F black people, F women, they're cowards. These are the father of Western philosophy. You know, this is the type of stuff that we're dealing with. They Lived Before Adam by Catherine Achelonu. Yeah, I mean, I'm familiar with Catherine. You know, I don't think the best of her analysis, but I actually know somebody who's continuing the work with respect to the Igbo context. So I'm only gonna be here for probably another 15, maybe 20, unless y'all begin to bless me that much more. But y'all have already supported me really well, so I appreciate that. So then we got Diodorus Siculus, and he said the ancient Egypt was a colony established by the Ethiopians. You know, he said that, you know, they were under the leadership of Asar. The Egyptians inherited their laws, tradition, and culture from the Ethiopians, which, according to Diodorus, affirms their shared heritage and solidifies ancient Egypt's blackness within this historical context. Herodotus said that the people of ancient Kemet were black-skinned with woolly hair, and he noted that their shared practice of circumcision, along with other cultural similarities, linked them to the people of Kush and the Colchians, affirming their common origins. Then you have Marcellinus, who said that the men of Egypt were mostly brown or black skinned with a thin and desiccated appearance. Diogenes Laertius further reinforces his perception of blackness in his description of Zeno, the founder of the Stoic school, with Apollonius of Tyre, emphasizing Zeno's gaunt, very tall, and black stature. These descriptions suggest that the indigenous black people still inhabited ancient Kemet during the Common Era. Apollodorus attributes the name of Egypt to Aegyptos, who conquered the land of the black-footed ones. In his play The Suppliant, Aeschylus describes the Egyptiads, the son of Aegyptos, as having black limbs.
Similarly, Achilles Tadius of Alexandria likens the herdsmen of the Egyptian delta to Ethiopians, describing them as black. These sources confirm that, in the perception of Greco-Roman authors, the ancient Kemites were black people. According to Walter Crumb's Coptic dictionary, Kem means a black person or thing. In ancient times, particularly during the Middle Kingdom, the term Kemu was used in inscriptions at Gebel el-Gigari to refer to black people, or a collective of black individuals. The Temple of Esna depicts the Neter Khnum molding human beings from black clay, a concept that serves as a precursor to the creation of man found in Abrahamic narratives. So a lot of the detractors say that, Kemet refers to the black soil, but even in this case, Khnum molded human beings from the black clay in this conception. So even then, that's everybody in the building. Mario Beatty says the term Kemet emerged as a novel ethno-geopolitical identity during the First Intermediate Period. This identity was marked by the innovation of a unitary national concept and the political need to distinguish the nation, particularly against West Asian peoples, as seen in the heightened discourse around internal and external borders. So basically during the invasion, the people wanted to distinguish themselves from foreigners, and that's why they created the term Kemet. The term Kemetiu, referring to black people, appears 350 years before Kemet. So black people appears 350 years before Kemet. It is used during the reign of Pepi I in the 6th dynasty, where he is also called the Great Black in his pyramid text. The first use of Kemet itself occurs during the reign of Senusret in the 12th dynasty. Then you have on the 11th dynasty Sele of Abku, blackness is revered as a Neter Kem. They actually deified blackness. This reverence highlights that the people of ancient Kemet considered blackness sacred, divine, and worthy of worship. Very, very clear. So then you have the usage of cattle, Kemet referring to the black cattle, the black lands. The war chest, you see Mai Hepri, and you also see black people as part of the royal fan bearers, trusted companions and right-hand men of Tutankhamun. So them trying to separate, Egypt and Nubia is a fraud. So I'm maybe going to do a few more. Wenamun, you see the blackness being acknowledged linguistically and geopolitically, with the Neter Amun founded the nation of black people before all others. This text also questions who could speak the black language and affirms blackness as a foundational aspect of both divine culture, creation, and cultural identity in ancient Africa. So, it's pretty crystal clear, that you can see just the different instances of blackness within classical Africa. Really crystal clear. And, I'm going to continue to talk about this. Shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to all the supporters. I'm probably going to let the music ride out, for a few more minutes. And then I will end the show. Appreciate you. Shout out to Dumariel, Kevin, aka Mr. K, all of the people who donated, all the people who supported. Really appreciate it. Your support keeps me going. Shout out to y'all. I'm definitely going to be doing lives a little bit more. But we're going to let the music ride out. And then I'm going to catch you on the next one. All right, y'all, I'm about to close this out. Shout out to Drega, Jumariel, Tabitha, Ifuntola, everybody in the building. Thank you for supporting the show, and I'm finna catch you on the next one. Peace.